Supermoons, it's an interesting term. It's very evocative. And the reality is that the super effect of the supermoon is actually not something we see clearly with our eyes. And that's because the difference in size between a supermoon, like the one we will see tonight, and an average full moon is only about 7%. So it's actually quite a small fraction of the size of the moon, which itself is quite small to the unaided eye. But when you watch the moon rising, particularly when it's full, it has this enormous appearance to it, which is really an illusion in our minds. So it's incredibly impressive. So across Europe, stargazers are going to have the opportunity to watch a full moon rise, which is a little bigger than the average full moon, but it will certainly look very impressive as it does so.
Indeed. Well, plus the fall in pollution is going to help stargazers around the world when they're looking up. But tell me, how does this moon, if you can, compare to the other supermoons that we've seen this year?
Yeah, so last month's full moon, which we sometimes traditionally call the pink moon, was the nearest full moon of the year. The moon's orbit is not circular, it's an ellipse, and so the distance between the Earth and the moon varies. It actually varies by quite a substantial amount, about 50,000 kilometers. And when the full moon tends to overlap with the perigee, that's the closest approach between the moon and the Earth, that's when you get these large supermoons, these near perigee full moons. You get about 3 or 4 of them a year, and so the one that we're going to see tonight, it isn't actually the largest one that we will get this year, but it's pretty close. The one that we saw last month was just fractionally a bit bigger. But what's quite significant about the full moon last month and this month, and indeed the new moon between the two of them, is the cultural significance of the moon. Last month's full moon set the date of Easter in the Christian calendar, and then the new moon that followed kicked off the holy month of Ramadan in the Islamic lunar calendar. Tonight's full moon, which is traditional for the full moon in May, actually signifies Vesak, or Buddha Day, which is, of course, a large festival in the Buddhist world. So taken together, more than half the world's population are actually making a lunar observance of cultural significance just in the past few weeks alone.
Well, let's hope tonight is a night that many people, as you say, will remember. But, for anyone who's perhaps got other plans, is there anything they should be looking up for in the sky over the next few months, or is that it for this year?
No, there's so much to be seen all the time. I mean, even now we're still going through a meteor shower called the Eta Aquariids. If you're up before the dawn, if you're a key worker perhaps, and you're getting up early before the sun rises, you have an opportunity perhaps to see some shooting stars streaking away from the eastern horizon. And you can also catch some of our planetary neighbours out there, like Mars, Jupiter and Saturn, which are all rising before the sun. And if you fail to spot the moon, or it's a little bit early, perhaps just around sunset, if you go out tonight and you look out towards the west, you can actually find our nearest planetary neighbour, which is Venus, hanging above the western horizon. There's just so much to see, really. Over the coming months, we're going to have a change in the seasons, so we'll be looking at very different stars, and I'm hoping that by the time we get to the summer, people will be able to go outside again, perhaps travel to darker locations, so that we can all appreciate the beautiful view of the Milky Way, which is best seen in a few months' time.